Okay, so we are going to do our Zoom meeting, our lecture on chapter 14. We're moving right along. Um, and so, in um, chapter 14, and let's take a look here. Okay, so we're going to start over on page 411. And again, we're going to go through sequentially. We'll look at comunicación, then vocabulary, then estructura or grammar. Okay. And this should, again, prepare us for our homework and then our chapter 14 test or test 14. So, chapter 14, as you can see, deals with culture, la cultura y la diversión. Culture and entertainment. So we'll be talking about movies, theater, um, uh, art, and so let's take a look at some of these terms. Many of the terms, of course, are going to be cognates with English, but so let's move forward here. So uh, in the area of comunicación, what idiosyncratic ways of speaking or expressing ourselves in Spanish do they want us to know about? And so on 411, or 412, we have a small box in comunicación, and we want to learn how to say maybe or perhaps. So you can use either quizá or quizás or tal vez. You hear these terms all the time. Uh, quizás or tal vez, perhaps, maybe. Okay. And there's nothing deep here, nothing difficult. And there will be a small section on your chapter 14 test on this. But so let's take a look. ¿Cuál es tu película favorita? So we're dealing with entertainment now. So here's our vocabulary. Película, movie. What's your favorite movie? And you might respond, no sé, I don't know. Tal vez Casablanca, perhaps Casablanca. Or uh, you could say, quizás el, or you might say, o quizás el padrino, the Godfather. So you can use tal vez and quizás in the same sentence, just like you could use maybe or perhaps. I mean, this is really basic stuff. To say that you're sure of how you feel about something, you could say sin duda me gusta eso, or sin duda alguna, and you'll hear people say that when they're very sure of something. All right, so here they're very certain. So, ¿cuál es tu película favorita? What's your favorite movie? Sin duda alguna, mi película favorita es El Ciudadano Kane, Citizen Kane. So again, nothing really deep here, but I wanted you to be aware. Now, when you're doing comunicación, look at the different, read through the section, do the activities or go through them. There will be little cultural or pieces or small written things on culture. And here's one here on page 412, Conéctate al mundo hispano. And so they're talking here about Hollywood, and they're talking about the movie industry, and they're talking about dubbing, el doblaje, and dubbing movies. So read this section. It may be on the chapter 14 test. As you know, on your test, they'll often give you written pieces and ask you true and false questions, or there'll be short answers. And there will likewise be questions like this on your exam. And they're going to be centered around the world of entertainment and culture. Okay. So take a look at that. Now, let's move on. The next idiosyncratic way of speaking that they want us to look at. And I don't really know that it's idiosyncratic, but um, uh, way of expressing yourself in Spanish is with the word quisiera, okay? Quisiera. And quisiera um, it means I would like, okay? Quisiera, yo quisiera, all right? Or um, and so it's just a very polite uh, way of speaking, okay? And you can use quisiera with an infinitive. So you could verb infinitive. So whatever you would like to do, you would say, yo quisiera comer. I'd like to eat. Okay. Yo quisiera descansar. I want to rest. That's all they're telling you here. And they're conjugating it for you. Okay. Yo quisiera, tú quisieras, you would like, usted quisiera, quisiéramos, and then for ellos quisieran. Okay. Um, let's see. And so let's take a look here. Quisiera ser una actriz famosa. And again, they didn't put the yo in there, but yo quisiera ser una actriz famosa. I'd like to be a famous actress. Ellos quisieran asistir a clases de baile. They'd like to attend dance class. So it will appear on your exam, and it's very easy to use. Again, nothing really um, deep there. Let me see. If we continue under the section on quisiera, um, they give us some verbs here, and I'll just point them out since we're dealing with entertainment and culture. So you should start, and we'll look at that as soon as I finish here. We're going to go right into vocabulary, but they do give you some useful expressions that you should be aware of. So to act is actuar. Of course, bailar is to dance, cantar, sing, dibujar, draw. Escribir poesía, to write poetry. Escribir un guión. A guión is a script. Okay. Una novela is a novel. Pintar, ser fotógrafo. So yo quisiera ser fotógrafo. I'd like to be a photographer. Yo quisiera tocar la guitarra, el piano. So just some language, some expressions that might be helpful for this unit. Okay, let's move right out of comunicación and now go into vocabulario. So I told you this unit deals with culture and la diversión, entertainment. So what do we want to know here? So if we look at page 414, 414, we're going to be looking at el cine, the cinema or the movies, el teatro, theater, or even museums. Okay, so make sure you are comfortable with this vocabulary, okay? Because you're going to have little reading passages or listening passages. This is the vocabulary of the unit. It's not particularly difficult. Okay. So the word a spectator is espectadores. So actividades para espectadores en el nuevo centro cultural. So imagine a new cultural center opens, and the people who attend or the spectators are those espectadores. And here's just some good vocabulary again. And a lot of this is these words and our phrases are cognates with English, but look what it says here. En general, in general, me gusta ver. I like to ver bailes, dances, conciertos, even en vivo, live concerts, obras de arte, okay, works of art. Películas are movies. Obras de teatro, theatrical works. Okay, all right. I like alternative music, música alternativa, clásica, electrónica, folclórica, de ópera, pop, rock. I mean, very basic language. A lot of these are cognates with English, but make sure you just take time to look through the different terms that have to do with entertainment and culture. Okay. Me gustaría ver espectáculos. I like to watch espectáculos de baile, dance spectacles, okay, or events, okay. And so here we have ballet clásico or ballet, cumbia, flamenco, different types of music, música or uh, el baile folclórico, okay, el baile clásico. Let's see what else. So take a look through this again. Escultura, sculpture, pintura. Again, this has to do more with culture. Me gustaría oír o ver presentaciones de literatura, literature, obras de artistas, works by artisans or artists, works, obras de pintores, works by painters, or works by cineastas, movie makers, famous movie makers. I would like, me interesaría participar en un taller. A taller is like a workshop de arte, danza, or which is dance or baile, or de actuación, a workshop on acting. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. So again, more vocabulary. I'm going through this. You should do it yourself. But a dancer is a bailarín, masculine bailarina, if it's female. Writer, escritor, escritora. Estrella de cine is a movie star. Personaje is a character or a celebrity. Pintor, protagonista, the main character. El público, the audience. So take a look. Interpretar un papel, to interpret a role or part. A papel means a role or part, like in a movie or a theatrical production. Okay. So this is vocabulary that you will be seeing. Okay, here's more expresiones útiles. Okay. The story, la historia, the voice, la voz. To tell a story es contar, to tell, contar una historia. Okay. So take a look through some of this. Like here it says, haz una lista de 3 o 4, make a list of 3 or 4 estrellas de cine, movie stars, y un personaje que ha interpretado cada una. So talk about a list of movie stars and talk about the character that they interpreted in their movie. Okay. All right. Again, here's more focused, instead of entertainment, more on cultural activities. So again, take a look. ¿De qué tipo de música disfruta la gente? What type of music do people enjoy? Well, la gente disfruta de música rock. People enjoy rock music, for example. But take a look, they give you different styles of music, música hip hop, música clásica, música disco, música alternativa, música reggae. Here's some, again, more terms associated with music, different instruments. Please take a look and just familiarize yourself with that language. Okay. Let's now move on, finally, to estructura or grammar. Okay, there's what grammar do they want us to know here? And let's take a look. And give me a second. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Vocabulario. Okay, before we go into grammar, I failed to mention that there are more sections with grammar, and a lot of this vocabulary we looked at already. Some of it is redundant, but take again a look through the vocabulary. There is quite a bit here. Again, most of these terms you can figure out easily. They're cognates with English. Now let's see if we can go into grammar. Hold on a second. I think I may have jumped ahead. Give me a second here. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. My mistake. So make sure you go through grammar. I'm sorry, make sure you go through the vocabulary. And again, I think we've touched on everything important there. Now let's go to estructura, okay? And let's go to 14.1, and this is on page 418. What do we want to learn here? We want to learn the past subjunctive. So we already know when to use the subjunctive. Okay, we use subjunctive when we're giving somebody a recommendation. We use it when we're saying we hope that something happens. Okay, I recommend, I hope, I wish, I desire, I want you to do something. So we will use the subjunctive in the second clause. I want you to go. Okay, in the second clause, that verb to go will be in the subjunctive. I wish you were here. That verb to be will be in the subjunctive, etc. So we've already learned when we use the subjunctive. Now, what we want to learn the past subjunctive. And so we're going to learn how to form the past subjunctive. So we use the past subjunctive when the first clause is in the past tense. Okay, so I wanted you to go to the store. I wished that you were here last night. So the first verb, the wanting, the wishing, the recommending, I recommended that you go, that will be in the past tense, okay? And it could be in the perfect, in the preterite. All right, it'll be in the past tense. So then your second verb now will be in the subjunctive, but it can't be in the present subjunctive. It's got to be in the past subjunctive. So let's take a look. How do we form the past subjunctive? And they give you a little paragraph here utilizing the past subjunctive. And then now what I like to do is go right to the actividades analíticas, and that will explain to us how to form the past subjunctive. So in Spanish, the past subjunctive is known as el imperfecto de subjuntivo. El imperfecto, okay, because you'll use it with the imperfect tense, or you can even use it with the preterite tense. Okay, so how do you form it? All right, they're showing you here that you get the stem of the verb. We always know that's the way we conjugate verbs. And then we put on our magical endings. And that's what you need to learn are the endings that you're going to use with the past subjunctive. And so AR verbs are going to have one set of endings, and ER and IR verbs are going to have another set of endings, exactly the same endings. So that's good. We don't have to learn that many endings. So for AR verbs, you're going to get the stem. So here's hablar, and you get habla. And then these are the universal God-given, never-changing endings that you add on. If the subject pronoun is yo, you put an ara ending. Yo hablara, okay? For tú, you're going to put aras. Okay, you got to learn this. So tú hablaras, that's the past subjunctive. Él will be hablara, the same as yo. A-R-A ending. I don't know why they didn't write it out there. Nosotros will beáramos ending. So nosotros habláramos. And for ellos, it's going to be hablaran. Hablaran. Okay. A-R-A-N. Hablaran. Again, they don't write it for us. What about ER and IR verbs, what are your endings? Well, it's going to be the stem, and then you're going to add on iera. So for yo, it'll be iera, aprendiera. Tú will be ieras, and then ella will be iera again. And then for nosotros, it'll be iéramos with that E accentuated. And finally for ellos, ieron, ieran. I'm sorry, ieran. What about IR verbs? Same thing. So, que yo viviera, stem, viv, and then iera. Tú will be stem, viv, and ieras. Ella will be stem, viv, and then iera. And then nosotros will be viv, which is the stem, and then iéramos, and then ellos vivieran. Okay, so it'll be hieran for ellos, hieran, aprendieran for ellos aprendieran. All right. And here they give us a chart, but again, they want you to fill in the endings. They don't fill them in there. Those are for regular verbs. Then note it, check out section 3. It's very important. These are your irregular verbs. We learned how to form the past subjunctive of AR verbs and then ER and IR verbs, stem and ending. We have special endings for AR verbs, and then we have the special ER endings for ER and IR verbs. Well, what happens here? Let's look at these irregular verbs. So let's take a look. Verbs that have an irregular stem in the preterite. Okay, do you remember when we learned the preterite? We had some verbs that have an irregular stem in this in the preterite. They are the I stem, U stem, J stem verbs. Remember we learned them, and here they are again. Their past subjunctive form is a little different. Okay, so for a star, you're not going to take the normal stem est. You've got to go to that preterite stem. It's a U stem verb. It's going to be estuve. For poder, to be able to, you're not going to say pod. That's not the stem we're going to use. Remember, in the preterite, they have irregular stems. It's pud. For poner, to put or place, the stem is not pon. If you recall, in the preterite stem is pus. And for tener, in the preterite, the stem was not ten, it's tuv. So if you just review that, all right, and let's take a look. And then these verbs, so these verbs are going to either be, these verbs, what endings are you going to put on them? Okay. You're going to put on the iera endings, the endings that we use for ER and IR verbs. So, yo estuviera, tú estuvieras, él estuviera, nosotros estuviéramos, and ellos estuvieran. And the same for all of these. You're going to put the iera endings onto them. That I had been able to. Que yo pudiera, que tú pudieras, que él pudiera, que nosotros pudiéramos, ellos pudieran. Does everybody understand that? That's basically it. So for these 4 verbs, and these are the ones that they're going to hold you to, but if you go back and you review all the verbs, there's a few more that have irregular stems, like the verb decir. Remember, it has a D-I-J ending. They will the stem for decir in the past subjunctive won't be dec, des, it'll be di, and then you put the iera endings on. Okay. The other thing is, look at the verb dar. In addition to these stem changing verbs, the verb dar, the verb to give, um, if you recall, the verb to give in the preterite was highly irregular, and it's irregular in the past subjunctive. Okay, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be. You just have to learn it. It's diera. So yo diera, tú dieras, él diera, nosotros diéramos, ellos dieran. So you use those iera endings with a D before them. Okay, and what about the verbs ser and ir? As you remember, the verbs ser and ir, the verb to be and the verb to go in the preterite were irregular, okay? And yo fui, tú fuiste, etc. Well, it's the it's the same in it's also the same. You have to just learn these. The verb to go, ir, and the verb ser in the past subjunctive is going to be fuera. Fuera. You are going to use fuera for both the verb to go and the verb to be. So, if I were, si yo fuera, if you were, si tú fueras, si if he were, si él fuera, if we were, si nosotros fuéramos, and if they were, ellos fueran. Okay. The past subjunctive. Okay, so again, make sure you know these stem changing verbs and you understand how to form their conjugate them in the past subjunctive. Dar is just D with the iera endings on it. And then ir and ser is fuera or some form of fuera. Fuera, fueras, fuera, fuéramos, fueran. That's it. Okay. All right. Once you know how to form the past subjunctive, and once you know the irregular verbs that are irregular in the past subjunctive, then let's get to and look at when do we use the past subjunctive. And it's exactly what I already told you. You already know when to use the subjunctive tense. You use it after the verb esperar, to hope, desire, desear, to want, quiero, to recommend. Okay. When you want to show that you're not certain about something, no creer or es imposible, where there's uncertainty, then we use what? The subjunctive. Okay. But the initial part of the sentence has got to be in the past tense. If it's in the past tense, then in our second clause, when we go to put our verb in the subjunctive, we have to put it in the past subjunctive. So let's take a quick look. Here it says, piden que hablemos en la reunión. So we have the verb pedir. They're requesting we do something, right? If I request you to, or I want you to do something, I have to use the subjunctive after it. So they are requesting that. Now my new clause starts, and the verb in the second clause has got to be in the subjunctive. So piden que hablemos, that we speak at the meeting. Now, what if the initial verb is in the past tense? It could be in the preterite, it could be in the imperfect. Then we have to use the past subjunctive. So let's take a look. Ellos pidieron. Now we're saying they requested that we speak. They asked that we speak, or they requested that we speak at the meeting. Okay, so now it's habláramos. It's in the past subjunctive. It's an ea verb. The stem is habla. I put the áramos ending on it. Let's look at the next one. quiero and estudiar. So our first clause is the verb querer. Our second clause is the verb estudiar. After querer, a verb of desire or want, I have to use the subjunctive. And the verb is estudiar. So, and quiero is in the present tense. So, quiero que estudies. I want you to study conmigo esta noche. So, quiero que estudies. It's in the present subjunctive. How do I know? Estudiar is an adverb, and I have an E ending. And so that shows me that I am in the subjunctive. What about I wanted or was wanting? Now I'm in the past. Yo quería que estudiaras. I wanted you to study with me. Yo quería que estudiaras. Now I got to get the stem of the verb estud, and I put the okay, estudiar. And I put iaras endings. Okay, que yo estud. I'm sorry. The stem would be estudi. Okay, so yo quería que tú estudi, and I put aras. The aras ending. It's an adverb and it's in two. Okay. And then when there's doubt or uncertainty, we always, if we start out with doubt in the first clause and the second clause, we use the subjunctive. So here it starts out, no creo que. I don't believe that it is a good idea. Here it's in the present tense, so no creo que sea from the verb ser. I don't believe that it is que sea muy buena idea. I don't think it's a good idea. Here's, okay, but let's look over here. What if the initial clause was in the past tense, like the imperfect or the predicate? Now that verb ser has got to be in the subjunctive, but the past subjunctive. And if you recall, the past subjunctive of ser is fuera. You just have to learn it, okay? Que yo fuera, que tú fueras, que él fuera, or it was, que fuera, or that we were, que fuéramos, or they were, ellos fueran. Okay. And then let's look at the last one. Again, we're showing doubt. Es imposible que gane. It's in the present tense. So, que gane. And that is in the present subjunctive. But what about if I have it in the imperfect? It was impossible. Now I've got to put ganar in the past subjunctive. The stem is gan, and I have to put the ara endings on it. So era imposible que él ganara el premio. And that's it. It's really a fairly easy tense to form, but make sure you know the irregular ones. Those verbs with stem changes, they have stem changes in the preterite. Okay. And dar, you just have to learn. It's diera. And again, ir and ser are fuera. Make sure you're aware of those. Okay. Again, you may want to look through, again, these sections here, try some of these problems, again, to immerse yourself in the vocabulary of this unit. And the vocabulary dealing with movies, culture, the art world, the world of theater, dance, and writing. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay. And then there's one more section. And let me see if I can get us there. Okay. In Estructura 14.2. So this is this last area of grammar. And this will be the future tense. Okay. And they give, again, they introduce the future tense with a little writing here. You can go through it, a little reading. But let's go right to the actividades analíticas on 423. Okay. And okay. And they give you examples of the future tense. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. How do we form the future tense? Okay, so let's see if we could do this. Okay. So the future tense is very easy to form. Okay. Basically, what you do in forming the future tense is now you don't use the stem. You just take the whole verb in its infinitive form. Okay. So, and then you add on the endings. Okay. And the endings are never changing, God given. You have to learn these endings. Okay. These are the future endings. Now, AR verbs have one set of endings, and ER and IR verbs have another set. So you only have to learn two sets of new endings. So let's see how we're going to do this. Here's the verb estar. Okay, so I want to say I will be, because this is the future. So it's going to be yo estar. Okay, you take the infinitive and you put on the ending a. Yo estaré. Okay, all right. All right. And okay. And I did misspeak above. Okay. And the endings will be the same for all three, actually, for AR, ER, and IR verbs. So that makes this easier. Okay. So it'll be, so you're going to take the infinitive, estar, yo estar, and you're going to add on the ending a. When you write it, it will be accented. Yo estaré means I will be. Okay, what about you will be? Again, you take the infinitive, estar, and you put on as, and it will be accentuated. Tú estarás, you will be. What about he, she? Ella estar, you put estar, and then you put an a ending with an accent. Ella estará, she will be. Nosotros, we put on an hemos ending. So nosotros estaremos. Or I could just simply say estaremos. Anyone in Spanish who hears estaremos knows what? That I'm saying, I'm speaking in the future. I'm saying we will be estaremos. I don't need the nosotros. I can tell from the ending that I've put on to the infinitive. And finally, the ellos form. You're going to get this, you're going to take the infinitive, estar, and you're going to put an an ending on, and it will be accentuated. So ellos estarán. They will be, ustedes estarán, you will be. Again, here's ser, it's the same thing. You just take the infinitive and you add on either a for yo, as for tú, a for el, ella, amos, hemos, or emos, hemos for nosotros, and an for ellos. And it's the same thing for vivir. You again you take the infinitive vivir, and for yo you put an a ending. Tú would be vivirás, an as ending, and ella would be a vivirá. And then we will live will be viviremos, and they will live, ellos vivirán. And then here are your endings. Okay, the stem for the future consists of the entire infinitive, just like I showed you, and to which one of these endings will be added. And those are the endings. They're the same for AR, ER, and IR verbs. You just add those on to the infinitive. Very easy to form this. Okay. Unfortunately, though, there are irregular verbs in the future. Please learn these because they're very common. Now, in this case, you will not use the infinitive. Okay, you will use the stem. Okay, you will use these stems. Okay, and you just have to learn them. Okay, these are the future stems, and there's about 10 verbs here. Just learn them. So for decir, if you're going to say I will speak, you've got to give me the future stem. And now it will be dir. Okay? Haber, like there will be. Okay, I means there is. Hubo means there was. There will be. You're going to use abra. That's what they use. Okay? Hacer. Okay? Um, we will do or make. Again, the future stem is ar, and you've got to learn it. Poder, to be able. We will be able. You're going to have to learn this. It's podrá, and that's what it is. Put or place is pondrá. We will put or place something would be nosotros pondremos. Salir, we will go out, will be saldremos. Tener, we will have, will be tendremos, and we will come, will be vendremos. Okay, so you will take those special stems and put on these endings. So I will say will be yo diré. You will say will be tú dirás. Okay. There will be would be it's the LA form of the verb. So it's going to be habrá. Habrá means there will be. What about we will make or do? Will be haremos. Okay. All right. You will be able will be podrás. Again, there are your. So make sure you learn this. It's very simple. Spend a little time on this. The future, again, is formed with regular verbs. It is formed by taking the, as it explains here, by taking the infinitive and adding these endings. Okay. And then there are these 10 or so irregular verbs. They're very common. Some will be on your exam. Now you can no longer use the infinitive here. You have to learn these stems, and they're stems unique to the future. And then you will add on the future endings. Okay. All right. I think that does it for this unit. I don't think your exam is that difficult. There are, again, a few narrations talking about culture, art, entertainment, and or readings, and you will answer some short questions on it. And there will be a section on doing some conjugations in the future tense. Make sure you can put a verb in the future. It's really simple. And make sure that you can put the verb in the past subjunctive. When your initial clause is in the past tense, either the imperfect or the preterite, then you will use the past subjunctive like we just did above. And I think that does it for chapter 14.